Okay, today is Friday, August 26th, 2022, and we're at the big 2022 motor show in Bangkok, Thailand. And as you can see, it runs from the 19th to the 28th of August. And that year 2565, that is the Buddhist calendar right there. So 2565 is equivalent to the Christian calendar 2022. Okay, here we're getting ready to go into the motor show, and as you can see, we have two complimentary tickets, and these were free, and they were sent to us in the mail. And actually, they sent us more than two; they sent us about 5, but that's okay. You can give them to your friends. But here we go. This saves us a little bit, so we now get into the motor show with the free ticket. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like we needed a free ticket. It's free anyway. Alright, here we are. This is a big building, heavily air conditioned. That is refreshing because it's about 95, 96 degrees outside, and it's a robust 72 or less here inside. Also very dry. So between the humidity and the temperature, air conditioning is indeed appreciated here in Thailand. And I can safely say that a motor vehicle cannot be safely operated without a functional air conditioner in Thailand. I'm sure there are a lot of them, but they're not very comfortable. Alright, so we're kind of looking around. We see the big players, Honda and Toyota. One thing that's missing from Honda is Acura. Acura is not marketed directly in Thailand. Now, a lot of these vehicles that you see here are actually assembled or made in Thailand. If they're not, they're going to be extremely expensive. Whatever the cost of the vehicle, that's how much it's going to cost to bring it into Thailand. So it effectively doubles the cost of the vehicle. And that's true. Some of these vehicles that we approach, they're close to $1 million US. Now there we see our classic Porsche. Some of these vehicles are customized and they may have a different brand name on them, but the heart of them is, like, for instance, the Porsche. Here we see the Mini Cooper, and this is of course a division of BMW. When I say that BMW is the official car of Thailand, there's a truth to that, because they assemble BMWs here in Thailand, which makes a BMW very reasonable compared to any imported vehicle from outside of Thailand. Well, let's take a look. Now you're going to see models of BMW that you're not used to seeing. Diesel engines, very popular in Thailand. They do not use a selective reduction catalyst or diesel emissions fluid. They don't know what that is here. So it greatly simplifies the complexity of the diesel engine's emission control system here. So here we see our BMW corner, and right next to it is Mercedes. And Mercedes also assembles some models here in Thailand. And here we're coming up on the EQ series, the EQS. Now what's interesting as we look, you're going to see like an E220D, or the S-Class, an S300D. Oh my. So you're going to see some vehicles that you don't normally see in the United States or the rest of the world. And by the way, these diesel engines are very quiet and very clean and reasonably powerful. Now, this MG line, these MGs are actually made in India, and they're pretty popular here. They may have an assembly plant here. If the price is reasonable, they have a way of bringing a vehicle in the form of what's called a complete knockdown kit. All right, here we have our Harley Davidsons. Harley Davidson motorcycle. Are these made in America? No, these are made in Thailand. These are high performance open road bikes. They're not real good for in the city, but they're out on the highway. They're certainly the ultimate cruising machine. And not to be left out, don't forget, BMW is really the master of motorcycles. As we look over here, we see the BMW lineup, which you'll have to come and visit later. These are BMW street bikes, and we have a line of course, the small to the very large. And here over to our right is the Porsche lineup. And then we see, of course, their tech art. This is kind of the customized Porsche with the special wheels and the special trim package, oftentimes with a carbon fiber trim. And here we see one of the Porsche hybrids. There's another e-hybrid Porsche, and they call it the this one's customized, so it's the tech art. And not to be left out, the Corvette. I would hate to think how much this costs if it was assembled or built in the US. Now you'll notice the steering wheel is over on the right hand side. That's right, in Thailand, remember, just like Japan and Britain, they drive on the left hand side of the street, so that means the steering wheel is on the right hand side of the vehicle. Now, finally we come up on a Tesla. Now I'm sure this is a Chinese Tesla. Let's take a look at our Tesla here. Very nice. And here we have a Bentley Hybrid. Now this is going to be an expensive vehicle. This is one of those $1 million vehicles. However, there are many people in Thailand that money is not an object. You'll see this car and its equivalent at a $1 million price tag is equivalent to $10 to somebody else. Okay, here we have the Honda lineup. Hondas are very popular here in Thailand, as also is Toyota. Lots of Hondas, and they're certainly well represented here. Well represented. Now, Suzuki. They're over here, and they have a pretty good size lineup and representation here today. Now, Suzuki in America, not real popular, but they're trying to get a foothold here in Thailand, so reasonably popular. All these vehicles. And here we see some of the Suzukis were often thought of as a very small compact car, and some of these are pretty good size. Alright, no car show would be complete without Mazda. And here we go, Mazda is well represented. It's certainly not as popular as Honda and Toyota here in Thailand, but is well represented. So here we see the Mazda lineup. You notice the Mazda 3, the Thai versions, look a little different than what you'll see in some other countries. Now we're looking at some new entries here. Here's the Netta, and these are electric cars, and this is coming from mainland China. And remember that Thailand is very close to China. It doesn't directly border them, but they're through Laos. Quick trip through Laos will take you right into mainland China. Here we have one of the other Chinese representations here. They're calling this, I guess, the Volt City EV. Looks like a reasonable style car, and actually in downtown Bangkok this may be very nice. Don't want to be too big, and if you had a 200-mile range, that'd be more than enough. Now here we're getting into the motor scooters. Now these look like toys, but they're not, and actually these could be quite useful. Alright, here we're getting into the motorcycles again. Indeed, Thailand is the land of motorcycles. Motorcycles are very, very popular here. Here we're taking a look at Yamaha, and again, some of these big high-performance bikes are really not suitable for operating in the city. I need to be able to zigzag between cars, and these are just too heavy, too hard to handle. Right, here we're coming up some of our utility vehicles, and this of course obviously would be farm vehicles, and this would be real important here. And now we're coming back into the mainstay, and here we have Subaru. Subaru. Popularity in Thailand. Well, they certainly have a presence, but I wouldn't say they're super popular. And as you can see, Subaru has really changed over the years. They're getting into a bigger, larger type of SUV, all-wheel drive platforms. Now here's Hyundai. And this is going to be, I guess, country buses right here. So these would be nice little tour buses. This would be good for taking trips up to the east, west, or north of Bangkok, or up towards Chiang Mai. All right. And here we have Kia. And the Kia Carnival, again, going after the SUV market. This Kia Carnival is every bit as big as the many of the other SUVs represented. And we mustn't forget Volvo. Now Volvo, is this a Swedish car company? No, it is not. It is an Indian car company. That's right. Volvo belongs to an Indian automotive firm called Geely. And as you can see, Volvo is well represented here. Now Volvo is considered a luxury car. It's very expensive, and there are Volvo dealerships. We have one very close to where we live. And people who buy a Volvo are going to be people with money. Now Peugeot. Peugeot is no longer marketed in the US, but as you can see, it still has a presence here in Thailand. I wouldn't say it's real popular, but they certainly are represented here today. Alright, now we're coming across Jeep. And there's the Rubicon. Jeep Wrangler. Now I'll have to look, but if this is actually made in the United States, it's going to boost the price way, way, way up. And again, the steering wheel is over on the right-hand side. Here we have a window sticker. Let's just take a look so we can get an idea how much this costs. We're coming up there towards 500,000 baht. And it's approximately 35 baht to the dollar. So let's take a look. How much does that cost? So a real quick calculation and we'll know exactly. Okay, here we go. 500,000. All right. Okay, here we are. We're going past the Toyota exhibit, and Toyota is indeed well represented here. I would say Toyota is one of the more popular vehicles here in Thailand. Many of these Toyotas are actually assembled in Thailand. Some of them are not, and of course the price of a vehicle here, 150,000, 250,000. That's pretty standard, and that's 250,000 US. So the value of a motor vehicle in Thailand is certainly a lot more than what you find in the United States. A major investment. And as a result, used cars are very valuable, and oftentimes people keep their cars for long, long periods of time. Now here is Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi does not have a large representation in the United States, but it has a pretty fair one here in Thailand. And you can see they're really pushing the pickup and the SUV. And of course, no auto show would be complete without Nissan. And Nissan's well represented here in Thailand. There are a lot of Nissan passenger cars, trucks, SUVs. Now here we're probably moving into kind of the used car area. These are vehicles that have been reconditioned. So these are like new, and when I mean reconditioned, they polish every little bolt and screw. They go through these vehicles with a fine-tooth comb. So even though it has 100,000 miles on it, it looks new, feels new, smells new. Any little defect they're going to straighten out. If a new car is worth 250,000, then that means a used car can be worth 100,000. Now, of course, these prices that you see are Thai baht. All right, so here we are back in the used car area. Mixture of Toyotas, BMWs, Mitsubishis, Hondas, all different types of vehicles. There's a Ford, but that's a Thai Ford. Isuzu. Now, like for instance, the Thai Ford, I don't believe that they manufacture a Ford vehicle in Thailand anymore. That's a used vehicle. You can see a little Prius right here. And this is another one. This is a used car section right here. Also, you'll see a mixture of Mazda and Toyota. What happens, though, is these cars have been gone through very, very carefully. So, again, it might be a used car, but it has the look, the feel, the smell of a new car. When they detail a car here, they detail a car.